Well, good afternoon. Thanks for joining me. One of the privileges of being the mayor of Bucyrus is once a year I get to report on what's called the state of the city. And I've been fortunate to do that this is my 5th year. And I hope I can do it many more years in the future. But what I want to do is read the state of the city to you that I presented at the last council meeting. It lasts about maybe 10 minutes or so, and I go into some general ideas, so hang with me. And then, as always, if you have any questions or comments, please put them on our City of Bucyrus Facebook page, or you can email me or call up to City Hall. Always happy to hear from you with your comments. So, anyway, like I said, it's a fifth State of the City address. Lots of challenges that we've had over the years, a lot of excitement and a lot of fun. It's been a quick 5 years that I've been mayor. I took over in 2014 with the untimely passing of Mayor Roger Moore, a good friend of mine. There was a lot of challenges. There was a lot of things that Roger had put into place that we'll talk about a little bit that we had to follow up on, and just want to give you a summary of them real quickly. We had EPA mandates, federal EPA mandates that the city was actually in negotiations with the Ohio EPA, and then the Ohio EPA got frustrated with us and kicked us up to a higher authority, the federal EPA, in the early 2000s. And the EPA issue was all coming down to separating our sewage from our stormwater. Right now they go into combinations for a lot of the city, not all of it. And then when the sewers, we have a lot of rain, it goes in. It'll go over to our wastewater treatment plant out by the river, and southern part of the city. And then when it gets full, it backs up from heavy rains, and then goes directly into the Sandusky River. Well, it's not a good way to do things anymore, and the EPA doesn't want us to do it that way. So we signed an agreement with them, which is called a consent order, which we were able to, instead of having to do this immediately and cost $25–30 million over the course of just a few years, we were able to spread this out into 5 to 7 year increments, and that's part of the Southern Avenue project. That's what we're doing right now, the south edge of town, and we have then the tie-ins to that. So so that water then from stormwater will eventually go directly into Sandusky River. So it's helped us out a lot, saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're doing our part for the environment and for clean water. Another big project was the wastewater treatment plant. So Mayor Moore had set into a plan. He had a committee that picked a location and a design group and engineers, Jones and Henry, and we had problems with our old plant. It was old. It was 70 years old, designed to last about 50 years. There were foundation issues with it, and nearly flooded. Remember the 2007 flood? That came within inches of flooding in what's called our clear wells. Once that happens, we are out of water for a city, and then it would have taken us months to clean everything up and get our city drinking water safe again. So Mayor Moore and his administration said we got to do something about it, and we signed off with unanimous approval of City Council. We were able to open a state-of-the-art facility in 2017, and which can produce up to 3 million gallons a day. So we have got water to provide and water to sell. Let me go on and say that these two issues, the EPA issue and as well as the new city water plant, were two of the largest financial undertakings, if not the largest financial undertakings in the city of Bucyrus' history. And so we're prepared now. We're preparing ourselves for the future. Once we get these things done, that's going to last us a long time. We had many good things on this water plant. Many good fortunes were a benefit of low interest rates, and that we just hit it just at the right time. So we were able to save city residents about $10 to $12 million over a 20-year loan. It's an amazing thing. I know the rates have gone up, and that's how we pay for that. You cannot pay for that out of your tax revenue. It comes out of out of the user fee. So all of us are paying more for water. I understand that, but when you buy something new, that's what unfortunately had to happen. We're looking at every option to keep our rates as low as possible. The opioid issue has been an ongoing issue. We had a very tough part of the 2010, that decade, and we were one of the highest rates of overdose in the whole city, excuse me, in the whole state, and per capita. And it's been a team effort all the way to get us into one of the lower ones. Now we still have issues. It's still a plague on us, as it is in a lot of America. But with the help of good organizations like Together We Hurt, Together We Heal, and good people that are running at John and Margie up north, and all the people that have been touched by this and have reached out and doing one-on-one counseling, and Chief Kepke I would single out. There's so many people that, Judge Leuthold has done a fantastic job on this too. And we couldn't have done it, the city can't do this alone. It's done with caring people and on the grassroots level. So we're still making progress. We got a ways to go, but we're on the right track. One of the things that's been a theme of my administration is the appearance of the city. I think we've kind of neglected our appearance. I don't think we had really good leadership on this for a while, and it's an attractive city. We have an attractive downtown. All you got to do is drive around some cities in the area and see that we've got a lot of beauty in our city, and especially in our downtown. Yeah, it always can be better, but things that we started to do in 2014, we were able to follow through on the grant that Senator Dave Burke was able to get this to the state to demolish Shines Theater. What a terrible eyesore that was for about 20 years. I know single out Joe Armbruster and his group, and did so much work on that. And, unfortunately, it couldn't be saved, so we were able to demolish it and put up a beautiful park there. Lots of good local donors helped us. Timken Foundation, Ohio Mutual Insurance Group, Bucyrus Road Materials, of course the state I mentioned also. And it's a beautiful park. There's more improvements we have to make, obviously, but we've already been able to hold movies there. And everything we do there is just so much pride for the city. Well, we are working on a permanent stage. We have to have a permanent stage in by the end of June next year. And we're working on some things right now to make sure we have a nice stage that's not only for music, but also for all the arts, including plays. So it's going to be a multi-use facility. And for the Bratwurst Festival, sure, them too. So, park systems we've put money into. We've put a new slide in at All Miller Park. We put $150,000 in this year, coming up 2019 for pool repair. We have some major pool repairs we have to be doing. Shelters will all have metal roofs on them, if you've noticed that. The basketball courts were refurbished with the help of the Hyde family. We dedicated those a couple of years ago to Larry Hyde. What a great day that was. And for somebody who played basketball in that back in the 70s, 60s and 70s, and we had so much fun out there, to see those courts refurbished like that was a real treat. And thank you to the Hyde family. We're very proud of them. Tennis courts are going to be done this year, 2019. And for all the people that my age or maybe older or maybe even younger that are playing pickleball now, we've already got the posts in. We're getting ready to put pickleball courts in. Tried to get those in last year, but the weather didn't cooperate. So we're first on the list this year. And so hopefully we get a dry spring, early part of summer, we'll get those in. It all comes down to the weather. Lions Field, we did some improvements there in Harmon Park. We took some dead trees out, and we're expanding that now with our new water treatment plant that's being torn down right at this present time. We're going to repurpose that land also and expand the soccer fields. Speaking of trees, what we do is we lose trees, we cut them down, we leave the stumps, and that's two problems. Number one, we got a stump. Number two, we don't replant anything. So we've done a very poor job in this city, from the city's point of view, from the leadership point of view, of taking care of our tree canopy. And so all you have to do is look at some of our streets that have these beautiful canopies still. like Poplar Street, and then you go through like Hopley, which had a beautiful canopy at one time. Now you got a handful of trees there. And it's just a lack of leadership, in my opinion, lack of funding, and just neglect. So one of the things I want to do is to form a tree commission that would look at our tree canopy and our tree planting. So we instituted that in our city about 2 years ago. Valerie Spring is the head of it. We also have some very good board members. We meet regularly, and our goal is to make Bucyrus prettier with the planting of trees, but also safer too, so that we trim trees, we remove dead trees, and we just have a look to the future. Now all these trees that we grew up with, a lot of them are gone now. They just were cut down. If you look around town, there's a lot of mature trees. There's a lot of 50, 75, 100-year-old trees, and not a lot of trees on tree lawns that have been planted the last 30 years. Well, we've been changing that. So the first thing we did, started our Arbor Day celebration in April, last Friday in April. So we planted a nice group of trees around town in celebration of Arbor Day. And then if you come up by City Hall here, look down south, we planted London plane trees, beautiful, part of the sycamore family. So in 10 or 20 years, you'll start to see canopy forming, and it's going to be very, very pretty. And there's some maples in there too. So when you drive into Bucyrus, we want this town to be attractive. And one of the ways you can do it, you have to keep it clean, right? Which we do, but you have to have flowers, you have to have trees. It's important to people as we're trying to attract young people. Part of our efforts, we were named a Tree City USA for the second year in a row. Very proud of that. And we will receive that award in Crestline here at their banquet, at the Northwest Ohio banquet in April. And it's a very good tradition to continue. That's a free thing that we receive. It doesn't cost anything. You just have to have certain criteria that you meet. One of the criteria is you have to have a small budget that goes for trees, maintenance, and planting. And our city council has approved that. And so we're very grateful to that. Just $2 a residence, but this is something that's going to pay off well into the future. I go and speak to students at high schools, and I always let them know that we're doing this for them. Because, a tree takes 10 or 20, depending on the tree, 10, 20, 30 years to mature to a height. Most of us, we're doing this for our kids because we'll be gone, but we're always looking to the future with our water plant, with our EPA. Anything we do looks to the future to attract employers, attract residents. Derelict properties have been an issue in the city for many years. With that 2007 recession, the Great Recession it was called, there was some dynamics there that happened with mortgages, and so a lot of foreclosures in our properties. Some of them showed it, and we were able to acquire many properties and start tearing them down. Some of the worst ones were those ones on Rogers Street. The Strout properties, we were able to acquire those. So Mr. Rob Ratliff deserves credit for that. We're working on more this year. One of them that's going to be torn down this year is the old Shoemaker Schwinn on Hopley. It's been sitting empty for many years. That's going to be demolished this year. And the other part of that equation too is we have a building inspector that city council invested in. So you've got problems with your neighbors, trash in the yard, tires, abandoned cars. We now have somebody that can come out and inspect that and start the legal process. And that you have to have a little patience on that. That does take a little time. We have certain steps that we can't just go over and haul a car out. We can't just do that. But we send letters, and then we follow up on letters, and then if we no response, then it's legal action. Fortunately, many of them start taking care of that ahead of time. All this is making us look better as a community. We like it ourselves living here to look better. We like good neighbors. We don't want trash in the yard. We don't want vermin running out of garages and so on and so forth. The other part to that is the Crawford County Land Bank, and Gary Cole deserves a little credit for forming that wonderful thing for the county. And Bucyrus has been able to take care of, take advantage of having the grant money to tear some houses down in different parts of the neighborhood. There's more going to be torn down in 2018. And then hopefully more grant money will become available. But every place you see eyesores, we know about them. We're working on them. We know we have some business eyesores that we're trying to work with too. So let me talk about quality of life issues since we're on this subject. How about the Bratwurst Festival? Those folks need a tremendous pat on the back. They deserve it. It's tough to keep something going over 50 years. And I think in the last few years, it's been better than ever. Crowds have been fantastic. What I came in, I know the city was actually charging the Bratwurst Festival $18,000 a year, something, I can't remember exactly to come in to clean up. So we were charging the Bratwurst Festival and making, and they were supplying people to do this. So it was legitimate, I understand. But I thought, let's try to partner with the Bucyrus Bratwurst Festival, right? If you think of Bucyrus, people mentioned the Bratwurst Festival. And let's make it a win-win situation. Let's try and do this. Let's give them that savings, and then let's let them pass that on to the local churches and service organizations so they can now rent the booths downtown, the spaces downtown at a lower rate. So it gives it a nice local flavor, and invest that money then back in the Bratwurst Festival and improvements to the festival. And they've done it. They've held up their share of the bargain. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy the council voted for that improvement. Can we talk about economic development for a few minutes? Just to let you know, the city, an economic development department would run about $200,000 a year, or about $150,000 a year more than we have. And so we propose investing in our county-wide economic development, which is called the Crawford County Partnership. And so we've invested funds with them for several years, along with the City of Galion does it, and the county, and many, many local businesses and investors do that also. Realizing that you need a united front. But one thing that they do with the partnership, they're all very positive people over there. It's more than economic development. It's also workforce development. So some of the programs that they have, like Leader in Me, CU Lead, that they support, they get into school systems, and they identify needs, and they work with the school systems and with local communities to get our workforce where it needs to be too. We have a lot of jobs in Crawford County and Bucyrus. Anybody can go to work today, but we matching up those skills in a better paying job, takes training. So we identify those needs, and we work with the employers and with the area schools to all work together. So my point is it's a collaborative effort. I think City Council needs a commendation for investing in that. Local employers are doing well. Timken is put a new line that is expanding their hiring for the first time in many years. Many of the industries at Crossroads are hiring. We have Bucyrus Railcar Repair. They bought the former Transco facility out off of Hopley, and then just bought Ohio Crane across the street. They are hiring, so they're doing well. They're opening a welding school. So you can go to work if you've got some training in welding, and they'll teach it to you right there. You can go to work right there, and you have a great career. Not everybody needs to go to college. We have some very good manufacturing jobs here, and if you so choose to go into work at one of our local facilities there, they're going to do well for you. They're going to give you a nice career. So I can honestly say that when I got out of high school, Many of my friends went to work for some local factories and had great careers there, and were already retired, by the way. So, if I can single out the Success Center over on Walnut Street, they're opening up an LPN lab. You get a degree possibly right here in Bucyrus. You probably didn't know about that, but it's wonderful. You can go right out of high school and study there, and they'll help you right through it. Every generation has challenges. Every administration has challenges. Ours, I've mentioned some of them that we've had that past generations haven't. But you have to look at all these with a couple things. First of all, you can't, city government or any government, federal government, can't do all this by itself. You need a collaborative effort. And it's one of the things that Bucyrus has. I mean, they've got people that are willing to get involved as volunteers with no pay. We have wonderful churches. We have wonderful civic organizations, service organizations. There's just people are interested in making Bucyrus a better place. If I can mention real briefly, one of the projects that I'd like to get off the ground, we've just started actually in a small way, is the bike path. Our most beautiful resource here, I think, is the Sandusky River. It's a gorgeous river, and it needs some attention in certain areas, with some work. But we can utilize that. Put a nice little walking path and a bike path along certain areas of the Sandusky River that will be very good for us to get outside and see the beauty of nature, and also attract young families with kids. There are different places I've gone to. And I've seen these walking paths in different parts of the state, different parts of the country. They're heavily utilized. People want to get out today, and Bucyrus is no different. So we've got our first leg of that going in out on Southern Avenue here this year. We were able to obtain an ODNR, Ohio Department of Natural Resources grant, and then we planned for another. We applied for another one this year for $500,000. So we may be able to come up with another part of that hopefully next year. So keep your fingers crossed, and let's get that thing off the ground too. I want to say something about transparency. Government has to be transparent because the law demands it. We follow sunshine laws where we have to make notices, and when we have meetings, they have to be open to the public. Now, that doesn't mean that every decision that city government makes is we don't have a town hall meeting for that. We were elected to lead the city, and we have to make some tough decisions sometimes, like in our contract negotiations and just things like with the EPA. We don't have town halls where we don't put our finger in the air all the way. We make the decision that's best for the taxpayers, but we on everything we do, where our council meetings, our committee meetings, it's all transparent. We have minutes. It's all posted online. You come to the meetings, and but on the other hand, you did elect us to do a job, and we trust that you think that we've done a good job. We've really pointed Bucyrus in the right direction. Having said all that, I was the first person of town of our size to sign on with Treasurer Mandel's transparency program called OhioCheckbook.com. And when he called, or his assistant called me, and I said, yeah, we're in on that, sign us up. So you can see our checkbook, or how we spend our money, on OhioCheckbook.com, because I believe in total transparency. And so this is your tax dollars that we're spending. We're not trying to hide that from you. We're not trying to. It's there, and we can go over budget issues with you at any time. If you have any questions, how much we spend on it, it's online there. But if you have issues, please call us. It's your money that we're stewards of, and we take it very seriously. We've had to address some budget issues that we've had. Our budget we have what's called a general fund. That's the money that's collected in our income taxes. and that gives us roughly $6 million a year. Out of that $6 million a year, we have to pay for police and fire and our general government. Those things come out of that, and then streets come out of that streets levy too. And so our paving and those types of things. That's been flat for years. As costs have gone up, we've had to address some issues. So what we've done, we've saved taxpayers over $200,000 a year in making some changes. So with the in our contracts. So with the cooperation union, we were able to change some of our health care coverage, and still have a very, very good plan, but we've been able to save $200,000 a year to city coffers. And also, we've combined supervisory jobs, and we've saved over $150,000 a year by not replacing supervisors. So we're looking out for the money. We're trying to make sure this money stretches farther, and so we can provide very good safety forces that's at our top priority, to provide police and fire. And so we've had to make some changes. And it's working out all very well. Now, if you look up on Irving Street there, the former ODOT facility, we were able to acquire that for $1. And we're combining our offices up there. We've already started remodeling and tearing some buildings down, and we're just starting to look better already. People are starting to move into it, and we'll be making some changes and some repairs all year up there. But what that has allowed us to do is save a couple facilities, or open a couple facilities to businesses. So the Mary Street garage, which is where the former city building was years ago, and then the water garage on Marion Road were both recently sold. And the people that bought them will be opening up businesses there. So we're going to be employing people in both of those. And the money we spent, or we sold those properties, we take them to fix up. So that's a win-win. So we're getting rid of an eyesore, a potential eyesore on Irving Street from ODOT that would have probably sat there for a long time empty, and these other two buildings selling it. So that's a win-win situation. There's an issue I did want to mention. There's something called Regional Income Tax Authority that over 300 cities use in the state. I'm proposing that the city of Bucyrus look at that very closely again about using that. We collect our own taxes here. Now what happens is we don't have a good way to track people who live in the city but may work outside the city, that they're paying their fair share of income taxes. So what happens is the burdens fall on those who do pay their income taxes. So we're leaving some money out there that the rest of us are having to pay for. Now, we are approximately 12,000 people in Bucyrus. Only cities that are 250,000 or more have access to federal income tax records as well as state income tax records. We don't have that. So we can't match up this person that might be living here that filed a state or federal return but didn't file a city. So Regional Income Tax Authority, also known as RITA, does that for us. And I think we need to seriously look at that. And I proposed that when I read this at the council meeting, that we look at that. And so we're going to look at that again, and I think that's a good thing for the city of Bucyrus. So let's look to the future. Where are we headed? Well, if you can get the gist of my address so far, it's all been about looking to the future with workforce, with economic development, with natural resources, with everything, with the beauty of the city, everything, the parks. Let's get this city nice, how we want our young kids, our kids and grandkids to live here. I moved here with my family in the 1950s and lived away for many years. I'm glad to come back when my kids got old enough and when school is here, and just it's a great community to grow up in. But you can't neglect it. I mean, it's got to be maintained. And one of the ways you maintain it is having strong leadership, but you have to have unity. So in 2021, our is an important year for us. Does anyone know why? I'll wait about 10, no, I won't wait 10 seconds. It's our bicentennial. 200 years ago, Sam and Mary Norton came here from central Ohio. It took them a long time to get here because Ohio was all wooded by then. You just had to chop their way up to Bucyrus. Try to imagine that. And 200 years ago is when that took place. Actually, 2019 is the 200th anniversary of them coming here. 2021 is the 200th anniversary of the incorporation of Bucyrus. And so those visionaries came here, saw a beautiful spot on the Sandusky River, and saw what it could be. I mean, it's just a good place to set up shop, set up camp. And just as my family did in the 1950s when they opened a business here. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience for me. And I want to make sure that I pass on that legacy just like the Nortons did, like my parents did, and so many other people here who moved here. Or maybe you were born and raised here and have stayed or come back. But we want to be unified in that effort. So our theme for 2021 is going to be community unity. Let's get unified because we are competing against all towns for people now. All Gallion, Tiffin, Willard, Sandusky, Columbus, obviously. You know, we have to compete against these communities. So we have to make sure that we have fine service organizations, youth programs like Little League and soccer programs. We have to make sure our churches continue the strong tradition. The service into clubs like Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions Club, Altruis, all the clubs that do such a good job, and the local grassroots organizations too. But the decisions we make now are certainly going to affect how this town is in the next generation. So we're at a very critical time. So as I looked back today, I want to let you know, as we look back at the things that we've been working on, I wanted to give you a little synopsis and a summary of the state of the city as it's been the last 5 years, and let you know that we look forward to the future with optimism. It's a great place. I can tell you, I've lived in a lot of different places. This is a good place to live. But it doesn't get, it isn't a sure thing. We have to be unified. So as we look forward to our 2021 bicentennial, we look forward with optimism. I know you do too. I know you're watching this because you want Bucyrus to be the best place it can be. Right? So as I close now, I want to thank you. Last year, 2018, was a rough year for me and my family, and I wanted to just to give you a little health update. I was diagnosed last spring in 2018 with what's called Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it was a form of cancer that attacks your lymph systems, and I had 12 chemotherapy treatments during the year. I finished in October, and by December I was said to be cured and in remission. So, and my hair's growing back, and you know, hopefully this will grow back here one of these days. But I'll tell you what I learned about how being ill and relying on other people, how much you rely on other people, not just your family and friends, but your entire community and your co-workers, your medical staff that's looked out for you, and how important that unity is in helping you through these types of things. You know, for all the cards and letters and concerns and prayers, it meant a lot to me. Thank you. And if you know somebody that's suffering, I would just encourage you to send them an email, give them a phone call, you know, give them a pat on the back. It's really important to them. And I saved all my cards, and they all meant a lot to me. Two people that I do want to single out here. You have two very special. We have a lot of great people that work for the city, wonderful people. One of them is the guy over here that he never's on camera, but he's our producer. He does a wonderful job, Gary Hess. But I want to speak about Kelly Patterson, who's our administrative assistant, and she's been very good, helpful, and she's on the ball, and she's got it up here. and she has agreed to head up our 2021 Bicentennial Committee, which is a big job. She was responsible for the community unity mural over on corner of Hopley and Walnut Street. She took that under her wing. And then Mr. Wagner, of course, very innovative, very hardworking. He's a very, very special service director and a good friend. They love the community, and I thank them for what they did for me and what they did for the community. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank God for all He's done for me and for the community. It's for Sam and Mary Norton, who wandered up here in 2019. So many people have worked hard to make Bucyrus what it is, for the blessings we've had and the blessings that are to come. So I thank you for watching. I hope I haven't bored you to death. Like I say, stop up. We'd love to see you. We'd love to hear from you. This is Mayor Jeff Reeser signing off with the State of the City address for 2019. Thanks for watching.